back to Daybreak, the show that brings what you need to think about as you begin the day. And today we want you to think about how to ensure that your internet is safer, that together we can have a better internet. We're talking about that from the Communications Authority offices here, the CS Center. I am with a panelist, my panelist, that is Director General of CA, Mr. Wangusi Bright, who is a cybersecurity officer with the IS Kenya, as well as Caroline here from Plan International, and Fidelis from the Kenya Bankers Association. Thank you so much for making time for us. I just want to take a look at some of what the feedback that you've been sending us. On SMS line, we have comment from Eldred is saying that it is unfortunate that a massive opportunity is lost due to lack of utilization of this unique resource, especially by young college students. Real-time information on environment, population, culture, economics, and agriculture trends can help young people to help their communities mitigate against challenges instead of using it for amusement only. A positive socialization of the internet is key. That is comment from Eldred. Then Mbuthia from Thika says that what measures are you taking to monitor financial hacking, which is now a shocking theft? We'll be getting to that with Fidelis here from the Kenya Bankers Association. Then you don't leave your name. You said that online technology also plays major part in terror attacks. And I think I want to begin from that point, that we have seen the growth, is it the growth? For lack of a better term, growth of terror attacks in the world, and also in Kenya. We see a lot of people using the online platforms, the internet, to propagate whatever agenda they have. And now we're here, we face that threat. I mean, why is it so easy for terrorists to utilize this facility that all of us think is a safe zone to interact socially? I want to begin right.
There's a fact we need to come to realization too, that there are tools that are out there that are, we call them open source applications. That means that you don't have to pay for them. That means the internet actually, the people online actually work on these tools for you to be able to use. Now, these open source applications don't have limitations as to what they can see. And we're getting to cyber warfare, which is happening, that countries are fighting when it comes to the internet. Some are utilizing it one way to be able to actually compromise systems in other countries, or not just compromise, but also use it to be able to take advantage of what they can from another country. Typical example, there are tools that are out there that can actually analyze every Twitter account that ever has to be within a locality, a GPS location. Sometimes terrorists can actually use online tools to find cameras that are within a particular area, maybe in the CBD or something, and they can actually log into them. That is not because of a problem of the users per se, because they didn't put a lot of protection, but these cameras do have vulnerabilities. And unless you update all of these, you don't actually have a lot of power to do them. So, I mean, with the internet expanding to the IoT stage of things, Internet of Things, all these vulnerabilities are going to be coming. We need to be aware of how we can safeguard ourselves when it comes to such a thing. How do we update them, change passwords, basic safety measures to be taken needs to be put into practice. Otherwise, we're going to leave the walls too open to a lot of people, and we'll not even realize when we're getting attacked.
And that is a challenge. Wow, the sun is out. I didn't see it when I was looking at him. But that's a challenge, because for us, you'll find a lot of Kenyans that you buy a laptop, as long as you have installed all the basic software and you're using it, that's the end of a security concern. Even an antivirus is not something that you bother about. What should we do so that we take care of those threats that can come and that are developing every other day by these software programmers and creators?
Well, there are several basic things that you need to do as somebody going online. Number one, make sure that you update your operating system periodically. A lot of system developers automate these processes, and as long as you're online, then it's automatically updated for you. But some of them, especially the commercial ones, you then need to keep the subscriptions paid so that you get regular updates. And then a lot of unsolicited content that people download. Really, that's the biggest problem. You probably get people sending you a lot of enticing products and all that, but inside those is malicious malicious software, what we call malware. So again, you have to be aware of what it is you are downloading when you're online. You have to be aware of what basically the sites that you go to. You need to be sure that the sites you go are genuine. There are quite a number of fake sites that either divert traffic or harvest your credentials online. So there's quite a number of things, and people just need to be aware of the basic tenets of using the internet and basic online safety.
Okay. Do you think technology is growing so fast for us, and we're able to keep up?
Well, I think technology is growing too fast, but we are the ones growing the technology in a way. I think one of the things that we have not been very keen on is in terms of protecting ourselves against any challenges that technology comes with. So we are sort of like lagging behind the technology in terms of the challenges that is posing to us. But coming back to the question you asked him about terrorism, I would want to say that locally here, if I could maybe divert from the software aspect of it and come to other devices that are also attracting terrorists so much to use, it's like the mobile phones. Mobile phones are registered against the name of somebody, but somehow in our country here, like Kenya, our registration system is not foolproof. And you also find that even those people who happened to have left us, their IDs are still hanging around. They have never been collected by government. And then they find ways into the hands of those people who have ill activities, like, for example, practicing terrorism and so on and so forth. They come to get phones under fake names. Then they now use online activities with their phones to be able to perpetuate terrorism. It becomes also very difficult to be able to trace these people, because maybe the name in which the SIM card of this person has been registered does not exist, but the ID exists. So at least a lot of effort needs to be done to ensure that identity cards are only in circulation for those people who genuinely have them. And I think if we do that, we are also going to reduce these other aspects of having connectivity to people whose aim is actually not for the good of the country. And I'm sure many of the terrorist activities that are happening here in this country is just as a result of that kind of carelessness that we have. We are not protecting our identities properly, and we are leaving them loose to fall into the hands of criminals.
And that's an interesting point you raise, because the recent 14 Riverside Drive attack, you'll see that one of the suspects, that is Salim Gishunge, had a phone number that was actually registered including to M-Pesa. So how possible is it to stop such kind of people without interfering with rights to owning a mobile phone and a mobile device?
Of course, the discussions are underway, because we have seen the vulnerability of identity cards, and plans are underway for us to introduce the biometric system, which probably we feel could be able to reduce those kind of errors that we are encountering. Otherwise, as it is right now, we find that the fact that we have not controlled the flow of our identity cards makes it a little bit difficult for us to be able to arrest a situation like that one. In fact, somehow you might even find people are calling from prisons, threatening others to give them money. Where do they get those identity cards? Where do they register those phones? But of course, as long as you have an identity card, I don't think that the people who carry out registration of SIM cards really have that training of understanding whether or not the ID you have is yourself or somebody else.
Did you, just before you go, the question I'm asking, so there's this terror suspect, Salim Gishunge. He was making contact with different people, and after the attack, a week later, the investigators have a lot of information about even his linkages, the people he has spoken to. How is it possible, from your perspective, to monitor these conversations without interfering the right to privacy within the law?
Well, I think, of course, when one is under suspicion, I think the law requires that the security agencies can monitor you. But of course, when because terror activities had happened, that was a good suspicion for them to try and investigate what kind of a person it is. And of course, it all originates from your conversations. Your conversations are recorded anyway by even the mobile operators themselves. What you talk in the mobile operator system is there. If they want to trace what you talked yesterday, it would be possible. Yes, but then, I mean, the question here is, should we not? Because we are interfering with the freedom of somebody when that person is also interfering with the freedom of others. Yes. I think that's where the big question is.
And you don't have the big answer.
I think one easy way of trying to solve one identity, which I think the new NIBS system that has been introduced should be able to solve. Take a typical example of, let's say, South Korea. If you go to South Korea, before you leave a country as a foreigner, if you haven't paid your rent, that national ID knows. If you haven't paid your water bill, your electricity bill, that national ID has confirmation details that they know how to find you. Even in the hospital that you've gone to the day before, what you've been treated for, all becomes one identity because they have an interrelation that is very easy for them to actually pick information from everywhere.
Right.
It is a trustworthy, and there's a governance aspect of things, saying that every agency, every department every other kind of part of the country wants to have one system where they can monitor things easily and smoothly. So in that case, it becomes quite easy for these terrorist attacks to be traced. That if there's something if your national ID does not match what you had put in the bank account details or whatever it is, there will be some red flags which can easily be, it will make it much easier for tracking. I know people are scared of their privacy, but I think we have to start somewhere. I mean, there are a lot of people doing it. Why can't we? Why can't we?
We have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't hide it. Okay, so it is not all gloom that the internet is such an unsafe place or a threat. How else can we utilize this resource, especially for the young people who have so much time, they have so much bundles to utilize? What can they do with it?
For the young people, I think the internet is a good place for them to learn. There are a lot of things they can learn. They can download content for their studies. Like for those who are doing masters, those who are doing their bachelors, there's a lot to learn in terms of even
how about
academic.
The children who are still
for the children also, they can get some materials. Like when I do homework with my daughter, for example, I even Google. Sometimes I don't understand some Kiswahili terms, and we are able to even learn some words or some meaning of some things on Google. So it also provides a learning platform for the children as young as class 5. So I think it's still a good place to learn from.
True, it's a good. Just before you go, DG, it's a good place, yes. But you see, these are children. They don't have a way of controlling how much content. When you Google, it's not within the curriculum. You'll find anything online. So, as a parent, how do you guide your child to utilize it fruitfully, but also in a controlled sort of manner?
So for that, of course, we have the books that we use for the curriculum. And so if there's any challenge, I mean, the parent should also be able to consult the teacher. How much can they go online to look for info or not? But even as a parent, you also need to see really, if I'm looking for a word, for example, in Kiswahili, and it doesn't make sense with even what is in the curriculum, then I should tell the child, let's consult the teacher. This one is not within what you should be learning. Okay. So those are the boundaries also we have to set.
Times have changed. During our time, you had to restrict yourself to a kamusi. I'll get to you, but before I do, you wanted to say something.
I wanted to say something. I was thinking that as a country, if we want to occupy our kids well, I think we should change our curriculum to address the issues of the internet in terms of how well they can utilize it. I mean, I could see, for example, children can be very good programmers. If we can start our curriculum at a level where even young children can be taught programming, even coming up with simple things like cartoons, I mean, which they themselves can see is translated into something they like.
Okay.
Then much of the time they would spend on the net will not be to go for entertainment. It would be to do something that is useful.
Okay.
If we can also create programs on the net that could be able could be educative to the children. Like, for example, if you can access a site like Han Academy. Han Academy has very good materials for teaching mathematics, for teaching sciences. And you see, by trying to change the culture of the children to be able to look for material like that, then they will find better use for the internet than just going for entertainment.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, they have less time to waste. Okay, let's focus on the question that was asked by who? What is the name? Buthia. From Thika, he said that what measures are you taking to monitor financial hacking, which is now a shocking theft? Recently, I think last week or the week before, we had the DCI reporting that 130 people had been arrested or are being sought after because they have been stealing away through the mobile banking applications. How rampant or how expansive is that a threat currently as you speak?
It is a threat. If you look at the way banking has been done, previously you used to go to the bank, you used to bank with a specific branch where you were known. Then you expanded and you started banking with a bank. So now you would go to any other bank wherever you are. The ATMs came, now you didn't even have to go to the bank, you would go to the shopping mall. Then the mobile devices have come, now you bank from your house. What has that done to the normal person? It has brought the money closer to the person.
Right.
So now it is no surprise you don't hear of armed gangsters raiding branches. I mean, it's when was the last time, DG, you heard of gangsters attacking a CIT vehicle? Because the money is now available in your hands.
Yes.
I mean, using internet technology, we've been able to bring services closer. But then the threats have also been brought closer. So what the banking industry has done is, when you look at all these interconnected devices and technology that is enabling these financial transactions, the threat has become bigger because the expanse is much, much bigger. Previously, I would be able to employ 2 guards to sit at the gate of the bank and the money was secure. Now the money is in your pocket. I can't come and guard you.
Yes.
So we have to find a way of technologically enabling the security of your finances. So we've done a lot of collaboration together with the Communications Authority, with the mobile network operators. We have a cybersecurity team that monitors patterns of traffic, and that's how these fraudsters are actually unearthed nowadays. The old ways of looking for physical paper is gone. Now it is technology.
Right.
So banks have invested heavily on technology, and the number of threats that you hear were succeeding. For every threat that succeeded, you have 50 that were frustrated. But the unfortunate scenario is when there is one that is reported, that's the one everybody knows about. Nobody praises us for the ones that we protected you against. So, yes, I would like to assure the public that yes, security is paramount in the banking industry. The safety of your money is the number one. That is why when you come to open an account, we ask for reams and reams of documentation to ensure we know who it is that you're opening an account for.
Right.
So yes, the challenge is there. We will continue being vigilant. The DG was very correct in that technology is always advanced. It's always ahead of us. We are always trying to catch up.
Right.
So even as we are thinking of ways to protect the data, there's a thief who's thinking of vulnerabilities to exploit.
That's right.
So we have to keep aware of what the vulnerabilities in the systems are and invest to protect that and make sure we update our safety systems to frustrate that.
All right. And Bright, for this conversation to be useful to the viewer, once upon a time we had an ATM card that had a biometric strip. We changed that to one that has a chip, and we are told that now it's safer. But now, this does not have an ATM card. It's just controlled by passwords.
Yes.
So, at home, even as you do mobile banking, what are these things that you need to do to know, the basics that you have to take into account to ensure that you're safe, your money is safe in the account?
Yeah, so first of all, we need to talk about the kind of applications to download. There are people who actually replicate banking applications which are not legitimate, and they actually put it online, or somebody can share with you via WhatsApp or any other means, saying this is a new Bank A mobile banking app. So you don't just trust any kind of application that has been sent to you. It might look like the same one. It might look like it's another part of it's another subsidiary of a bank application, but don't just install any application, because those can be specifically done by hackers to collect such information about you or be able to actually log in as you. Two, we are always logging to do our internet banking, which is leaving us to be able to get hacked. So links, we have pop-ups that are coming. We have, again, somebody can craft a website that looks exactly just like your banking, your normal banking, and they'll send that to your email and tell you, look, you need to change your password to be able to actually address some security issues. So be very vigilant to see exactly who sent that email, where is it coming from, and does that even look like? We don't read the details of that. Lastly, the kind of applications we install on our phones ask for some permissions. So a flashlight app is asking permission for your camera and your GPS location. I mean, it has two functions, on and off. Put a flashlight on and put it off. So why would a flashlight app be asking permissions to your mobile applications to take pictures or to be able to actually have access to GPS? That should raise the red flag. So if applications are asking for certain permissions that you're not familiar with, don't accept it. Uninstall it and don't use it. So these are the basic things that we need to actually look out for, and just not be gullible to be able to install anything and everything that we see that comes out. Now, and I want us to start closing, and as we do that, when you look at all this discussion that we have had and the legal provisions that we have in the country, not just in the country but even in the region, what do you think are things that you need interventions, especially legally, to better manage the resource that is internet?
I think one of the issues that we are facing as a region in terms of moving ahead with the technological changes is capacity building, and especially with the judiciary. It looks like we are still in that old style of looking at things, getting evidences that, was traditionally the norm at that particular time, which probably now in the current circumstances, I think things have changed, both in form and in the way that it can be presented. So capacity building is one of the things that we need to do, and especially to those law enforcement agencies, including the judiciary. Now, another thing that as a region we need to take advantage of the net is to ensure that our interconnectivity across the region, for example, is seamless. We are also trying to see if, for example, a mobile money clearing house within the country, for example, is seamless, so that the user does not know exactly which network he's using. And in that way, then we are going to encourage the application of some of these services, like the financial services which have grown up. So in most cases, I think the net has more advantages that we are seeing today, and that is also coming up. As I said, I mentioned something like the Internet of Things, the artificial intelligence. You've gone even to maybe certain countries that have developed well enough. They are having driverless cars or trains or whatever, and this is where technology is heading us to. Smart cities. Maybe as we are talking about Konza, for example, we are thinking about having the network of communication that is going to make us control things remotely. In fact, sensors have improved to a level where, it is now possible for you even to have a robot washing your house when you are away. So this is where technology is heading us to, and we should be prepared to adopt it, because it will either sweep us or we adopt it and move with it. So in my view, we need not only just awareness but capacity building, and we need capacity building in this area right from when the our children are young,
Okay.
because those are going to be the really adopters of these particular technologies.
Okay, all right. So in closing, Caroline, what should we do, the parents and the children?
As we have said, of course, the internet is a great platform for learning, for creating things for children to even know better and use their talents. But then we are also saying there are threats. So what we need to do is, as parents, we need to build a relationship of trust, whereby our children can easily share with us anything that is they're doing, and even the threats or anything that could harm them online. So that relationship also includes values, value systems that will help the children and the parents all to be disciplined in the way that we use the internet, so that it's safe and very helpful to our children as they grow up.
Okay.
Yes.
And to secure our money and
Your money is secure. Your money is secure. One of the things I would like to alert the public about is the safety of your devices. Especially, you mentioned 90% of the internet in Kenya is mobile devices.
Right.
Therefore, the PIN becomes paramount. And the safety and confidentiality of that PIN is then the gateway to your mobile money.
Right.
So we need to be aware of, one, how to use the safety of that PIN, how to secure it, and how to make sure that it is not diverged so that your funds stay safe. Other than that, the internet is with us.
Okay.
We just need to alert and be aware and use it in confidence.
Okay, we use it in confidence. In the region, when you look at it, your final remark, are there any gaps that we have legally that we can fix, and how so?
I feel like legally the data protection bill that is still being discussed needs to actually come into play, and it should come into play with practicality,
right?
Not things that have been borrowed from other countries. Currently, right now, if you look at Africa, more than half of African countries don't have a data protection bill. They don't have. Some are still say they're in development, but how long can it be in development? Such things need to be taken very fast. The threats are going to be there. The vulnerabilities are going to be there. The hackers will never stop trying to find new ways of doing things, and we can't stop children from posting anything or people from posting on the internet.
Okay.
So if anything I'll say as the last bit is, the internet does not forgive and it doesn't forget.
Doesn't forgive, doesn't forget. There's no better way to end it. Bright Mawudor, Head of Cybersecurity Services at IIS Kenya, Director General Francis Wangusi, CA Communications Authority, and Fidelis Muya, who is Director of Technical Services at the Kenya Bankers Association, and Caroline Okumu, Child Protection Advisor at Plan International. Thank you so much for making time for us to have this conversation about a safer Internet Day with the theme Together for Better Internet. And I wish you happy celebrations as you mark this. And hope that some of the discussions that we have had here and some of the suggestions can be put into implementation. My name is Sam Gituku. We now toss it back to the Communications Center from Communications Authority Center so that we can proceed on to a short break. But when we return, we'll be having Deborah continuing with some discussion that Willis Rabru will be bringing you on Engage, some of the questions that we may have socially, and I'm sure some of the questions that we may have here even online. I just wanted to look